Mr. Chairman, we are recording and we're live on YouTube.
Okay. It is 7 p.m. here in Danbury. Good evening, everyone. This is the Danbury Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for April 8th, 2021. We have as our, I'll do the roll call, I guess, just for the record here tonight is Commissioner Johanna, Commissioner Michael Civic, Commissioner Juan Rivera, and Peter DeLucia is alternate here, sitting in for Chairman Jowdy, and I am Rod Moore, acting chairman for this evening's applications. First order of business is the acceptance of business from the March 25th, 2021 meeting. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes for March 25th.
All right, Peter DeLucia makes a motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Rivera seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're here tonight to hear the following hearings. 2107, City of Danbury, 217 White Street. Application number 20-06, Neil Marcus Esquire, agent for Stephen Da Silva for Evergreen Road. 2108, Kevin Hine, 29 Moody Lane, and 21-10, Robert Lease, agent for Anne Marie Roker, 1 Charcoal Ridge Drive South. As probably pretty much everyone here is aware, we will open each public hearing for these applications separately. We will then close that application, at which time there can be no further testimony or no further questions asked of us by any of the applicants or their representatives. We could defer a technical question to Sean or something, possibly. The applicant makes the presentation. Anyone else that's in favor has the opportunity to speak. Anyone else from the public who is not in favor also has that opportunity to speak. If there is some opposition, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut any of that opposition. The voting requires 4 out of 5 votes to approve an application. So with that said, is there someone here tonight for 2107 City of Danbury, 215, you know what? Let me back up a minute. We do need a motion to hear those and to hear those 4 applications this evening. Is there a motion to hear those?
I make a motion to hear 2107, 2106, 2108, 21-10, and a new business 2109.
Okay, we actually won't be hearing that tonight, but we have something to address when we get to it under new business.
Okay.
All right.
I second that motion.
Second from Mr. Rivas. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Tonight, the first application, City of Danbury, 217 White Street, in an RH zone to allow parking in the front yard at White and 9th Avenue and place a sign within 10 feet of the front lot. Who is here from the city tonight?
Good evening. My name's Tom Altman. I'm a professional engineer with the city of Danbury, and I'm the project manager for the White Street Locust Avenue improvement project. The city's adding lanes along White Street and turning lanes at Locust Ave. And in front of the properties 215 and 217 White Street, we're going to push the edge of White Street approximately 10 feet to the north. And we're also moving the sidewalks the same amount to the north, which affects the parking lot and the aprons into the properties at 215 and 217. Now, the existing business sign for this property actually extends into the right-of-way right now. It's about halfway into the city's right-of-way. So for us to reconstruct our new sidewalks at the edge of the right-of-way, the sign needs to be relocated. And we've offered to the property owners for the city to request a variance for the relocated sign. And that relocated sign really needs to be very close to the front property line so that it's not in the way of the circulation, the traffic circulation on the property. So that's, and I don't know if you want to look at the site plan, but I think we submitted a site plan and a survey that shows basically the location of the existing sign and, the proposed sign.
There we go. Can you all see that?
Mhm.
Kind of on the center of the page towards the bottom there, actually, there's a typo there, but it's the sign to be removed. It extends into the right of way. We're going to take that sign and move it back. It will still be close, but it will be within 10 feet of the front property line, and that's what we're asking the variance for when the owner installs the new sign. The other item that we're here to get a variance on is presently the parking is in the front parking lot in front of the building on both the White Street side and 9th Ave side. But we are changing some of the parking. We're regrading the parking lot. We're putting in new driveway aprons. And therefore, it was appropriate for us to get a variance to identify that the parking would be in the front of this building as it is now, but it's more, to accurately document that there's a variance, issued for the parking in the front of this building.
All right.
So that's generally it. And I think we do have a second plan there too that shows, just the layout of the parking lot. And you got, I don't know but it shows I think parking space is probably it's probably the second sheet if we can move down to that.
Let's see here.
I don't know if that.
Let's see here. Second sheet. There we go. Okay. Let's get this out here.
So there again, the parking lot's generally the same, but we are going to have to regrade it, and there'll be parking spaces in the front.
Okay. So this grayed out area then, let's see, White Street.
The grayed out area really shows what the city needs to regrade, because as we move the sidewalks and increase the width of White Street, the gutter line in front of this property is going to be a little bit deep, lower in elevation. So we'll have to change the aprons into this property and then grade the parking lot to match the new aprons. So that's what the gray area is showing there.
Okay. Any questions?
Are any of the uses going to change in the zoning, or what? Or we're just looking for a variance to take the road, to widen the road?
Well, we're just the use of the property. The city's really not involved in. I mean, it is what presently an auto repair business. It's going to stay that way. So
And a house next door?
that has, I think that's more of a residential use, I believe.
Okay.
But city, we're really not involved in those issues. Those issues. I don't. We're just kind of trying to address the things that we're impacting. The sign and the parking.
Okay. I walked the property. I'm trying to get an idea of all the. It sounds like there's more than one variance that's involved.
Well, there's the
sign and
parking
then-
in front of both White and 9th. I'm curious, if you're on White Street, you don't, I guess I see how it's a front yard. I guess it's not that critical a thought, but I mean, I'm not quite grasping where the parking in the front yard of White Street frontage is, because it doesn't look like anybody's front yard, but that's, I guess, in the eye of the beholder.
There's two front yards there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that there is, yes. And then Those two front yard parkings and the 10-foot sign, of course, or sign being within 10 feet of the lot line. But from what I can see, looking at that map, that certainly makes sense just for line of sight for traffic and so on. That's one of the hardships that the city stated. Any other questions? Anyone else here in favor? Is there anyone here opposed to this application or any part of it? Is there a motion to close 21-07?
Make a motion to close 21-07.
Okay, seconded
Second.
by Michael Sibbett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's go right ahead into the voting on this one, if we could, and open that up. Do we need a motion to open the voting at this point, like we've been doing, or can we?
Yeah,
just-
once you close it, you gotta open it. If you're gonna
Well,
vote.
we're not opening the. All right, let's just have a motion to voting session on 2107.
I make a motion to go into voting session on 2107.
Okay, second by
Second, aye.
one. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Comments. The city looks like it's done a great job of doing what they can to minimize any variances. I didn't see in terms of looking at anything that stuck out that would be a factor in a negative way. So any other comments? Anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve 21-07. City of Danbury, 215-217 White Street, RH3 zone. Allow parking in front yard at White Street and 9th Avenue. Place sign within 10 feet of a front lot line as per plan submitted.
I second.
A second by Pete Jalusha. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Let the record show the vote is unanimous.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay. Next one is 21-06. Neil Marcus, agent for Stephen Da Silva, Pro Contractors of Connecticut for Evergreen Road. Reduce minimum side yard setback from 40 feet to 37 feet for a roof overhang. There was some initial documentation that had to be corrected, and it's 37 feet. That's as the application reads. So I'm here to speak on behalf of Mr. Da Silva.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Neil Marcus, Cone Wolf PC 158, Deer Hill Avenue in Danbury, here on behalf of Mr. Da Silva and Pro Contractors of Connecticut, which is a company that he operates and has constructed a house, is depicted on the plan. This application is for a 3-foot side yard variance on a new house. And the reason that there was I won't say there's a surveying error. There was a construction error in pouring the foundation, which has resulted in a 3-foot, the need for the 3-foot variance. And the hardship that well, let me go back for a second. The property lies in an RA 80 zone. So we have 2-acre zoning on a pre-existing non-conforming lot of just over a half an acre. So there's our first hardship, is that we were trying to obviously put a nicely designed and built house on a small lot under zoning regulations that required setbacks that made the lot very tight. So the margin for error was very small, and the error itself was very small, but as a result of the pour of the foundation with the roof overhang will be 3 feet too close to the Thomas's lot line, and the Thomas's are on the east side of the property. Now, interestingly, if you've looked at the map that we submitted, hopefully you all have a copy of it. And Rod's going to put it up there. Okay, if you look at it, that's the wrong map.
Oh, whoa, hold on. I'm just looking for the end of the meeting here.
You know, okay, so Rod, that's a test. Does Marcus can actually look at the map or not?
All right. Yeah, that's a test. I want to see what he says about that map. That's right.
Okay, so this is the actual map that we're talking about here. So interestingly, if you look on my screen to the right side of the map, which is the property line with Jay Thomas and Tamara Thomas, that side yard of the house, that side foundation is 34.4 feet and 37.4 and 37 feet respectively at the corners. And that's the 3 feet right there. What is confusing and helped create the problem is you'll see that there's a wood shed, a vinyl shed, excuse me, on the Thomas's property that encroaches about a foot, maybe a foot and a half at most, over onto my client's property. And we have no problem with that. And we've agreed with the Thomases that they can maintain their encroachment. It doesn't bother us. But when the guys were doing the foundation, that visual error of where that shed is contributed. It didn't cause it, but they looked over there. They saw where they were. They saw it. They actually were not exactly aware where the property line was because they felt that the shed was on the neighbor's property. So that added to the error in the confusion. But the hardship that we have described lies in the shape and the contours of the property as well. So when you get to our statement of hardship, we talk about the lot was narrow and there should have been a 40-foot. I put 41. Actually, a typo in the hardship. It's a 40-foot side yard on both the easterly and westerly side. There's not a lot of margin of error because the side yard on the westerly side is 45.0, which meant that we had 5 feet to move the house to the east. The total of the width of the lot contributes to the hardship. It's narrow. And in addition, there's a fair amount of slope on this, not a fair amount, a small amount of slope on here, which visually throws off your perception of where property line should have been. So on the easterly side of the property, we have the shed. On the westerly side, there's a stone wall and a fence that encroach onto the property as well. So in looking at the property, if you're out there trying to figure out where you're supposed to be within the two property lines, both of those encroachments are miscues. They really throw you off as to what the real property line is. And of course, side yard setbacks are on property lines, not buildings and structures or encroachments. So that was a problem. So those two encroachments coupled with the existing slope contributed to the misplacement of the foundation. Right now, the property is currently unoccupied. There's actually somebody who's waiting to purchase it and occupy it. But until we resolve the 3 feet, we can't get a CO. Now, I have provided a letter from the Thomases. Did that get circulated to the board or not? Well, April 8th, today's date.
No.
If you'll let me share the screen, I'm gonna try to share this letter. I don't guarantee I'm any good at this, but if I have and if you enable sharing, I will try to bring this up. a letter from the neighbor. Do you see that on your screen?
Not yet.
Oh,
Okay. Then I've got to minimize this for a second. Do-do-do.
Excuse me.
Okay, so if we go to screen sharing, I will try to pop that up. Let's see if that comes up.
back to school, Neil.
Yeah, I'm no good on a computer. Here, how's that? Did I do it? Finally?
Well, there you go. All
Did it.
right.
Okay. Okay. So this is a letter that we received from the from Jay Thomas, and basically he said that he resides at 2 Evergreen. He's next door to Pro Contractors, and he's aware that we've applied for a 3-foot variance from 40 to 37 for the sideline setback. The variance directly affects his property. That's clear. That we recognize that. They have numerous discussions with our client, with Steve DeSilva, and we've agreed to keep the plantings in place on our property to remain, and therefore with the screening, the Thomases have agreed that they are in favor of the variance. And in reality, if you go out and look at the property as built and the way the Thomases' property is situated, I don't see why they wouldn't be in favor, because quite honestly, it's a nice looking house and it is nicely landscaped and set away from their property. Now, having shown you that, I'm going to show you, hopefully on the screen, pictures. Did these come up too?
Yeah.
Modern technology. Okay, so you're looking at the house with the the porch, and if you're looking at the house, we're looking at it from the street, which would be Evergreen, and the Thomas's property would be off to the left of the driveway. So as we continue to look at the pictures, another picture, the property on the right is property of Jager shown on the map, but that's the 45-foot setback. There's no problem. But this gives you an idea of the driveway, and the Thomas's property in that shed that we were talking about are down the slope. So the slope itself is a natural buffer. And of course, we've got the arborvitaes that we've agreed to maintain. This is another view of some of the landscaping between DeSilva and Thomas on the left. Again, another similar picture. We won't dwell on it, but that's to give you an idea. And quite honestly, if you were to go out there, you would say that this house is nicely placed, even though an error did occur, but it seems to be well sited on the site, given again the fact that it's a half-acre parcel in a 2-acre zone. But the neighbors, we know of no complaint, obviously, from the neighbor on the neighbor that's on the easterly side has no complaint, and the neighbors on the west understand that this variance is really solely impacting them, and they have no complaint. Actually, they've indicated they'll send a letter in favor, which they have. And I've talked to their attorney, Eric Cook, and he also underscored the fact that they're in agreement. So we have a letter, we have the pictures, we have a relatively minor request, and we're hoping at this point that the commission can see fit to grant it. We're available to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
You can stop sharing now.
Actually, to do that,
It's not an exact science. You, as you know. All right. Thank you.
I did it. Okay.
All right. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here in opposition? All right, gentlemen, comments, questions?
I have a few comments.
Okay.
Mr. Marcus, you've been doing this for years and years and years and years. When they
Don't
poured
remind me, Mike.
you said you were going to retire, but you haven't. You should have. I'm against this variance, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
One, you have a professional engineer that designed this, and you throw out all of these problems on the left side of the property, on the right side of the property that threw off the measurements. I thought it was the position of the city that when you pour a foundation, that you get it measured and approved for before you build. And if that had been done, they would have realized that when they put a 3-foot overhang on the building, that it's going to go into the setback. But no, they built the house, fantastic house. I wish I were able to climb stairs. I wouldn't mind having a house like that because I love the balcony that's overlooking the driveway. However, you want us to approve a professional engineer's mistake. You've come before us numerous times in the past for the same type of problem. Correct a professional mistake. It's time for professionals to eat their mistakes and not come crawling to us to approve their mistakes because, oh, well, they won't do it again. And then a year later, 2 years later, look who's back in front of us for another mistake by a professional engineer, professional builders that built a house and want us to fix their mistakes. I'm not going to vote to approve this variance for those reasons. This is their mistake. They either cut the overhang off or tear the house down, move the foundation and rebuild it. I know it's financially out of the question, but you get paid big bucks to be here. They get paid big bucks to build the house. We get paid zilch to approve your mistakes. Not tonight. That's all I have to say.
All right. Anyone else want to weigh in?
Yeah, I took a walk on the property today, and, maybe unfortunate that it, wasn't caught the mistake. I could see how it could have happened. If you look at the topography, as you do a tape measure, you could lose feet. It could happen. Certainly, there's no, I noticed on the setbacks on both sides, okay? One is conforming, one is not conforming, okay? So it's 40 feet is on the west side. That's where the variance is being requested for. Whereas the property next door on the easterly side, it's only about 8 feet away from the property line. So they do not have the 40 feet, which would leave them non-conforming. So in theory, it actually going the other way, going towards that direction, actually looks, more aesthetic and more, I don't want to say centered, more centered than not on the property lines. I just don't see. I mean, it's a lot of. I'm tearing down 3 feet. It just doesn't make no sense to me. I know people come to us, when they make mistakes and what have you. I just can't see going something drastic in that. It's aesthetically pleasing, and those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's never appreciated or pleasant when we are called on to correct errors, and that happens. And I guess the question is, how grievous is this? I don't think it was intentional. I'm sure it wasn't. But some professionals kind of screwed up for sure. Joe, Juan,
Well,
Uh,
I think the builder, when he put the foundation, he should have the as-built survey done. Then it would have caught the problem right there. That's the rule when you make a new construction. You put a foundation, you need to make sure you put in the right place. Now, if this guy gonna go by the shed line or by the property line, or he didn't see this or did see that, I don't understand why we have to hear that. This is not very unprofessional. Not, the guy, the builder, he should know better than that. He have to do an as-built survey. Once he do the foundation, he have to make sure foundation in the right place. And then he can do as-built when he finish. I guess he didn't do all this stuff.
I like to comment as well. I do, although it is a roof overhang and it's just 3 feet, I do agree with some of the board members here as in regards to this being a professional's error and coming to us when they're getting paid to professionally handle situations like this, make the proper measurements, build the proper dwelling and facility to the measurements and standards according to the zoning laws. I would like to say that the shed excuse is a weak excuse, in my opinion, because of, like Mr. Joseph Hanna said, you got to make sure that you count your, cross your T's, dot your I's, in a sense that you want to verify that everything is legal through the city's eyes.
All right. Mr. Marcus, any comments?
I just, Mike, I've heard your comments on prior applications. I appreciate it. I don't want the commission to have the impression that this was the mistake of a professional engineer. It was not. It was not a surveyor's error. It was not an engineer's error. The error was actually the guys that set the forms for the foundation. And again, okay, so there are professionals and professionals. I did have you turn down an error, a claim on an error by a surveyor years ago because it was a surveying error. That I understood. Here, the error was a bunch of laborers in the field setting up a form on the site, and they made a mistake. Now, are they professional foundation installers? I don't know how we define the profession, but these were basically laborers who made an error in placing the form. The surveyors didn't make any error in staking the lot or indicating the distance. Somebody misread the field location.
May I interrupt?
Sure, go ahead.
I didn't blame the surveyor.
Yeah.
I didn't blame the form fitters that put the forms down. I blame the person that's in charge of the entire project, the professional that gets paid to, when the cement is poured, he takes he contacts the city, and the city comes out with a tape measure, and they use the survey and they measure from the forms to the property line, not to a shed that appears to be on the property line, not to something else on the other side of the house. They use a surveyor's map, which is law, and they measure from the form to the property line. And right then and there, they should have said, oops, we're 40 feet exactly, and we know we're going to have a 3-foot overhang that's going to go into the setback. We need to move the foundation before we start building. I didn't blame the people that put the forms up. You're making all these excuses up to protect your client, and I don't like it.
No, I appreciate that, but I'm saying, but you kept saying about the professional engineer. I thought maybe that you misunderstood. There's clearly a mistake that was made, clearly. I know where it was made, and you're right. I mean, the bottom line is the property owner pays for the mistake. The question ultimately is, and by the way, I think Peter's comments is on the overall, if the house is well centered on the site and the neighbor whose side yard we're protecting actually supports the variance, the real question is, are we doing any harm by allowing the CO to be issued? Because that's, in reality, right now, I'm actually more concerned about a young couple, a young family who is buying this house who can't buy it. I mean, whether the house has to be jacked up and moved 3 feet and a new section of foundation poured, there are people, a family who, I won't say they're homeless because they're still living in the house or the place that they're living in, but there's a family that's temporarily displaced over the 3-foot error. I don't relish the idea of coming to the commission and asking for relief from anybody's mistake. However, you know, if you, in the words of Cotton Mather, of the Boston colony back in the 1600s, that judges are gods on earth, and to the extent you're going to judge the error, I mean, it's an error. I mean, I'd ask you to put it in a perspective. That is it intentional? No. Is it grievous? I don't believe so. Is it an error? Absolutely. Is it worth? Forget. Obviously, there's a dollar amount involved in here, but the other question is it worth? You've seen the pictures. That's why I showed you. Is it worth taking the house that is now situated in a good location on the site with respect to both side yard neighbors and interrupt that and delay people from living in their house further? And those are the considerations. Can you find that there's a hardship? You can, for one good reason. You've got a 2-acre zoning regulation as to side yards and setbacks, and you've got a 23,000 square foot lot. That in and of itself would justify the finding of a hardship if you want to. But if
That's not the hardship that we're talking about.
Well, that the hardship is that there was the hardship is that we had a very small margin to work with to begin with, because the house, the property is narrow, and quite
According to
honestly,
the map, the house could have been legally built,
oh yeah, they could have been, but I'm saying, but
it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But the question is, can the commission find a legitimate hardship? The answer is yes. You're not required to, but you could find it. So again, I don't, as I say, I don't relish the fact that we come before the commission to cover to basically accommodate anybody's error. But we all know that errors are made, and if we can forgive them a little bit without creating a difficult problem, it may be worth doing. But as I say, we know what the problem is. It's 3 feet. It's very difficult to correct. And given the fact that we've got a non-conforming lot with setbacks that really that legitimately don't belong in this neighborhood, because none of the houses in this neighborhood are on 2-acre lots. That's really the way we would look at it from a design point of view. This house is completely in harmony with the entire neighborhood, the way it's situated, even though it has a 3-foot violation on the side yard. So philosophically, I'm not going to argue with you if you're not disposed to grant relief to the, not only to the applicant, but as I say, ultimately to the people who are trying to live there, then that's where it'll be. But on the other hand, I would distinguish between a minor mistake in something that's grievous or creates a problem in the neighborhood. This one, I just ask you to consider, doesn't really create a problem. And to just say we're never going to forgive a mistake is not correct. The question is, if we can forgive a mistake, if it doesn't create all sorts of additional problems to the neighborhood. For example, if Thomas said we're opposed to it, I'd have a much more difficult time arguing. But you know, those are the considerations, and I'm hoping you consider it in your deliberations. Thanks.
I am, this situation reminds me of some of the several times that people have come with legitimate errors or doing something just to try and get around the zoning regulations on purpose, whatever the reason. I remember one in particular, which was kind of an emotional evening for the board, and that involved a sign on the Danbury Ice Arena, Danbury Trashers sign. And it exceeded the height and exceeded the square footage. And ultimately I said, and I'm going to say the same thing tonight, it's a kind of a bitter, grating pill to swallow when we are asked to correct mistakes, however they may be and however innocent they may be. But my question is this for us to consider: if hypothetically this lot had been 3 feet narrower and they came ahead of time for a variance to have 37 feet from the setback from the lot line rather than coming after the fact, would we be inclined to approve that? And I believe we would, because the results of what is there, and we can see how that works. We can see that there is no objections from the neighbors about the 37 feet. So setting aside the very frustrating part of seeing someone come to have us fix it, would we do it? If that wasn't the case, would we approve it? Would you vote in favor of it? That's my question for the board.
Mr. Chairman, through the chair, if you don't mind, if I could pipe in regarding the history of the lot and what we've gone through to get to this point. There are always conditions on any approval that we give, and I'm the enforcement guy, and I'm more of the hard case than anybody here. But we've been trying to fix this issue as soon as it came to our attention. The developer is a young guy who has done lower level projects and has never, this has never occurred before. He's not the kind of person that would, maliciously try to do something like that. And I totally get it. I always got to look at the enforcement aspect of this. And Rodney made a point there, and I want to make sure I can jump back on that. As far as the zone goes and the setbacks and the person that's being impacted being okay with this. And I know you want to make a stand on this, and I totally get it. It's just the what's going to happen to get some of this compliance just for the small encroachment is going to be pretty major. I've been working with the developer for the past 2 months, trying to every which way, or lot line revisions. We're doing all sorts of craziness just to get this fixed, because he did not want to come in from the board. And I was trying to explain to him that the board doesn't look kindly on something that was fumbled in the beginning of the project. But like I said, it has happened. The developer he's a decent guy. He doesn't pull any shenanigans with us over the years that I've known him. So I just wanted to throw that out to the board to let him know the type of person we're dealing with is not a repeat offender. And we've had them in the past, but they keep coming back and we're like, you back here again? This hasn't happened with this gentleman, just to give you a heads up. And he was really devastated when we were working through this project. So I just thought I'd bring that historically into it. And
I have a question for Sean.
Okay.
Is it possible for the city to initiate some type of fine penalty for contractors that do this stuff, that don't get the approvals that they need? I mean, we're putting a potential homeowner out if we deny this. The house shouldn't even have been built because of the mistake. So, okay, he may have made a mistake this time. We've had other contractors that, oh, this is the first time I've made this mistake. Well, why don't they come and get the necessary approvals and all of that and get them right? And if they don't, they get fined. They lose their license for a year or something. You know, there's got to be a monetary penalty for the people that caused the problem that we end up having to fix.
Yeah, Mike, there's currently no fine for licensure that's issued through the state. However, when another person like this, when this happens again repetitively, I'm the first one to bring it to your guys' attention, saying this is the third time we're in on this. We had 2 others located in the city. So our history, remembering it, all this stuff is electronically filed now. So it'll be easy for us to bring up any sort of a pattern. None exist here. But to your question, Mike, there's no fines that I can levy on somebody who repeat offender. It's the boards. The boards are the catch-all. They make sure that you are people from the community or looking at things in a reasonable way, saying, is this fit for the board to hear? Is this fit for the board to plug into? And all we're trying to do is give you a little history, Mike, and saying this wasn't a malicious thing. It's going to be a tough mistake to fix. We tried a bunch of different scenarios to make this work. And I know Neil has too, working with Mr. Da Silva. So, you know, it's up to the board again, but I just wanted to bring you up to date in that history about who the person was and when this happened, how much devastation and panic was ripping through our area of the department for a while. So that's all I got to say, Mark.
Sean, in the course of new construction, the building department goes out and inspects various phases of the construction as it goes along, does it not? Electrical, plumbing before the walls are closed in. When a foundation is done, is there an inspection point that's supposed to happen then?
There is an inspection point. Usually it's in my legal approvals. It would say foundation as-built required. I tend to do that as a default just to cover the city, to make sure that I do ask for these things. Most of the projects, I probably on maybe 60% of the projects, I get a foundation as built, especially if there's a variance, I definitely get a foundation as built. Okay. If it's not a variance, I kind of say, you know, foundation as built, final as built required, just to make sure that we understand that, you know, if you're off, you're off. But the variances, I definitely require a foundation as built.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Any other comments? Neil,
Just
if there's.
quickly, thanks, Ron. Quickly, Sean, thank you for your background on this, because I think it was very helpful and I appreciate it. But to Mike's point, the one thing that I certainly have no objection to, and it's not really the fine, the particularly, but if the board feels that the Thomases should have additional landscaping other than what they've agreed to here to make up for the loss of because basically the 3 feet is just their privacy. It's 3 feet of privacy. I would say that this board can always add a reasonable condition of approval to say that the area shown along that foundation that is being varied along the property line should be enhanced with a further vegetation to block the neighbor's impact, to soften the neighbor's impact. That would be something that, if it appeals to the board, I would suggest is a reasonable condition.
I don't think that the new owner is going to sit on his roof and spy on the neighbors.
I don't either, Mike. But as I say, because that would be appropriate if here the neighbor's satisfied that we're keeping the vegetation, but we could enhance it. Other than that, I'm hoping that you consider particularly the comments from Sean in making your decision. Thanks. Thank you.
All right. Motion to close
I make a motion to close 21-06.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sibbett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, is there a motion to go into the voting session on 21-06?
Make a motion to go in a voting session on 21-06.
Second from
Second.
Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. We have a vote to take. Any further discussion? Is there anyone prepared to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve 21-06 with some hesitation here, but I hope the city set up some kind of, like Mike say, financial payment to the city when these guys make mistakes. That's the only way they're gonna learn. Anyway, I make a motion to approve 21-06. Neil Marcus, Esquire, agent for Da Silva, Stephen Pro Contractors of Connecticut for Evergreen Road. Reduce minimum side yard from 40 feet to 37 feet to roof overhang as per plan submitted. And that's it.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Peter DeLucia seconds. All right, all in favor of this motion?
Aye.
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 I've heard 4 ayes. I think.
I only heard 2.
I think,
All right, let's just make this a roll call. I vote in favor.
Aye.
Hannah votes in favor.
I vote in favor.
DeLucia votes in favor.
I
Rivas
vote in favor.
votes in favor.
And I vote against.
One against, Mr. Sibbett. Okay, with that, the application passes.
Gentlemen,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you. And you know, Mike,
Well,
I don't know which one of us are going to retire first, you or me.
I've been retired for 2 years.
No, from this zoning board of appeals stuff.
I've
You're
been on
still
the
here.
zoning board of appeals and the planning commission since 1988.
That's right. So I got you.
And I've heard your excuses too many times.
I got you beat by 15 years, but I would miss it if I didn't hear from you. I do appreciate it. I do.
Well, that's because you're older than I am.
That's for sure.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Good night. Thank you.
Okay. All right, application 21-08, Kevin A. Hine, 29 Moody Lane. Someone here to represent or Mr. Hine.
Yes, my name is Stacy Keeney, and I'm here to represent Melissa and Kevin Hine for 29 Moody Lane.
Okay.
So what we're asking for is we're going before the board to ask for a reduction in the setback from the south to go to 7.5, and from the north side from 15 feet to 5 feet to the proposed deck. So what we would like to do is, right now, there is a 9x12 deck and a set of stairs, if you want to refer to the floor plans. So what we're going to do is we would like to replace that deck. The lot is extremely narrow. It's only 50 feet wide. So the difficulty is it's very narrow. And as you can see, there's very little area for any kind of, outside entertaining or congregating. The lot slopes 18 feet from where the garage is at the street down to the where you see that patio. It's an 18-foot drop. So it's a little difficult to manage. So what we have is we have a landscape architect that has helped us with some beautiful patios and plantings so that this new deck will sit comfortably at the back of the house just to replace the other one. Again, so we're just coming before you so that we could expand the deck a little bit so that they have a little bit extra room on the main level. When you drive down Moody Lane, you'll enter the house at grade level, but by the time you get to the back, again, that 18-foot drop, you have to go down the stairs, and it's quite a drop in order to get some entertaining area. So that's why the expanded deck. And so again, the hardship is it's a very narrow lot. It's 50 feet. And as it is, it's very close to the property lines. But as you can see in the landscape plan, we have taken care of some beautiful arborvitaes and some beautiful screening. The landscape architect is also zoomed in if you'd like to have her chime in if you have any questions.
Okay, I did zoom out a second on just to get the whole lot in here, to get the perspective of the lot, the lake, and where the house is situated. But just zooming back again, this is just for a proposed deck. There's no other new construction involved here. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions? And certainly if the landscape architect would like to speak, that's fine. Any questions from the board so far?
Yes. I noticed you're going the coverage, and this is something usually that we're very big on here in Lake Community Homes. It's going from 20% to 22.4%. What type of deck materials? I guess where I'm getting at is it, regardless whether you use pressure treated or that special non-splinter decking, or is there going to be gaps in it? So when it rains, that it can go underneath and drain rather than roll off and go towards into the lake.
Sure.
Not the lake, but work its way down.
Sure.
And I like the idea of the vegetation, and I like to see what the landscape guy has to say too.
The landscape woman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. So let me answer your question. First, for the coverage, the existing coverage is 22%, and that does not include the deck because the deck is impervious. So that's just existing.
Okay.
22%. So, and the calculations were done by taking the field card. So the house is about 2124, the lot is 9497, so you get about 22%. So getting back to your question about the decking, yes, this will be the maintenance-free Trex,
Okay.
and they do require the 1/16 of an inch, or the size of a nickel space between them. And then underneath, again, I would love the landscape architect to chime in, because she's working carefully for some vegetation and stone and setting the patio stones down below in a way that is going to absorb any of the rain coming in.
Yeah, that's the most important thing to us, the drainage, absorption, and anytime coverage is, even if it's not touched, just to, that's our, ecological concern.
Yes, and what we have is, a careful way forward planning for that particular area, down below. So if you'd like her to chime in, her plan is right up on the application.
Okay.
If you guys would like to look at that. And Ellen, if you'd like to speak, unmute yourself. Hi, Ellen. That is Ellen.
There you are.
Thank you. Sorry. My name is Ellen Hines. I'm a landscape architect and have seen the property many times, working with Stacy and the homeowners. And as you can see, we are intending to keep it as green as possible. We have some existing bluestone there now. It's going to all be reset on a stone dust base so that it will be pervious with enough width in the joints that the water will percolate down through. There is one roof leader that currently discharges in that area, and that will be going into the plant beds. It's not going to be piped down to the lake. We've also gotten rid of a set of stairs that were there on the north side, the northwest corner of the house. There's a set of stairs that come down to the neighbor's property, and we are eliminating those, putting up a solid 6-foot screening fence to further give privacy to both homeowners. And then adding screening around the gas tanks and adding 7 to 8 foot hedge of arborvitaes.
And so you say northwest corner, it's the lower left corner of this.
Correct, of the
Okay.
house.
Yep.
Yeah. It's basically enhancing what's there and trying to make it as usable as possible. Again, we're not regrading anything. We're actually adding more vegetation that's currently there. And hopefully that will satisfy everybody.
All right, there's always a question too, and that comes up is down at the lower end, natural native shrubs and whatnot, rather than a lot of lawn to break up that drainage into the lake. I don't know, couldn't tell really what's there now. There's some plans to continue this conservation effort as far as what the Kennewood Lake Authority always suggests in their manual to put down towards the water's edge, towards the edge of the property.
Yes, actually, we are currently working on a plan to submit to First Light and if need be to the Wetlands Commission for some of the possible changes that we'd like to do down in that area. But all of the plantings that are going to be suggested will be coming from the First Light handbook, shoreline management handbook, and they would be native. We've already taken out some of the invasive species that were there and eliminated those. We're working on eliminating those from the site, adding back natives, as I said, and making sure there's enough covered. We're also going to redo a set of stairs that are currently concrete and have, drained straight down to the lake. So we're proposing to take those out and reorient them so that it's a circumvention and it will not drain straight towards the lake, and it'll be made of gravel. And we're also probably going to get rid of some of the existing lawn areas too, so that it will become much more of a barrier for any drainage going down toward the waterfront.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
I have a few questions,
All right.
if you don't mind. I see that on the portion of the application where you list altercations or extensions, there's replacing windows and doors, siding, expanding existing deck. Obviously, that's what you guys are here for, the variance, and patio. With the replacing of the windows, doors, siding, will that be adding to the coverage? Will that be changing anything as far as variances goes to the building itself? Because with a follow-up on that, looking at the site plan, there's a roof overhang that's encroaching the next door neighbor's property line. And it's not listed on any previous applications. So I'm wondering if any of that construction that's being planned will address that issue on the site plan or building.
Thank you for your question. No, none of that will have an impact. We are changing the windows and doors so that we could make the house more, more of an envelope that has more insulation, because right now there are some aging windows and some window leaks, and the owner has gone into the fact that to update this house, the first thing he did was make sure that it had a brand new efficient heating and cooling system. So this is just the next level to make sure that all the windows are triple pane and that there's some insulation in the wall. So to answer your questions, it's not going to have any effect on the footprint at all. Just the windows and the doors and the siding will be replaced.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Is anyone here to speak against this application? Do any of you gentlemen have any further questions for the applicant?
Was it 1/16 or 2/16 on the track?
1/16 or 2/16?
On the gap in between the,
116.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
when some water gets through, that's, that's
As-
the only thing that would like make me happy,
uh-huh.
We just say nickel space.
Nickel space, okay. All right.
Should we talk millimeters? I don't know.
Nickel space as planned and submitted.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Is there a motion to close 21-08?
I make a motion to close 21-08.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Hannah, second by
Second.
Pete DeLucia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There's a motion to go into voting on
I make a
2108.
motion to go into voting for 2108.
Motion by Michael Stewart, second by Peter DeLucia. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. What's your pleasure? Is there anything else you want to discuss, or is there a motion coming about? So,
I make a motion to approve 21-08. Hi and Kevin, 29 Moody Lane, RA 20 zone. Reduce south side yard setback from 15 feet to existing 7.5 feet and reduce north side yard setback from 15 feet to existing 2.2 feet and 5 feet to proposed deck. Increase building coverage from 20% to 22.4%. There is improvement from the setback. The existing is 2.2 feet and the new setback is 5 feet as per plan submitted.
is there a second?
One second.
Second.
I think Pete was just a slight bit faster. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion, variance motion has been approved.
Thank you.
Very much.
Right.
Appreciate your time.
Certainly. Last but not least,
Thank you.
21-10. I used to live on that road many, many years ago, around the corner. So it was a trip down memory lane to drive by there the other day. All right, 21-8, -10, Robert Lease, 1 Charcoal Ridge Drive South, to requesting a variance for reduced minimum side yard setback from 25 to 22.6 for proposed addition roof overhang. Someone here tonight to speak on behalf of this application.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Lees on behalf of Anne Marie Roker. We're requesting the side setback due to the shape of the lot. It narrows from the front to the back on that side of the house. It's also a corner lot with 2 side yards and 2 front yards. The purpose of the addition is to extend the livability of the house as the occupants age into retirement as opposed to leaving. And so if you can see, it's primarily the roof overhang that will be encroaching over the minimum setback from 2.4 feet at the front of the addition to 1.3 feet at the rear of the addition. And then we've taken, on an aesthetic point of view, on the plans, we've taken a lot of care in making sure that the addition, even proportionate size of windows, etc., roof line matches the front of the house, as well as the addition going to the rear of the house also mimics the addition that was at some point installed on Ms. Skidmore's property as well. Yep, so if there's any questions.
What, you want to just state your hardship again, just for the record?
Yeah, so the hardship is the shape of the lot. that is a corner lot with 2 front and 2 side yards.
Right. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here to speak against? All right, any questions for Mr. Lees?
I had a question. I think what is the setback line from the other side? The existing setback line look like 17.5 feet.
Let me look.
The opposite side of the addition.
So 17.3, I believe.
So that's the existing now.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one.
Yeah, up at the, I see it up there. That's, you're talking about this right here, Joe, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I walked a lot. Initially I thought like, why didn't he build it in the back just to keep the aesthetics up for the rest of the neighborhood? But then I realized why. Is that the 17.3, you know, to build off of that would become even more non-conforming than it already is. So at that point, I realized why he's going to the side and the 2 front yards. I thought maybe he was trying to spare the trees in the back too, but I understand why now.
Well, it was also the trees, and then also we wanted to make sure that the house appeared to be centered on the lot as much as possible.
Yes.
Right.
That's all I have.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Going once, going twice. Motion to close 21-10.
Make a motion to close 21-10.
All right, is there a second? Second by Mr. Sibbett, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to open the voting session on 21-10.
Make a motion to open voting session for 2110. RA zone, RA 40 zone, 1 Charcoal Ridge Drive South.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sibbett, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, discussions, motions?
I make a motion to approve 21-10. Lee's Robert, agent for Roker and Marie, 1 Charcoal Ridge Drive South. RA 40 zone, reduced minimum side yard setback from 25 feet to 22.6 feet for proposed addition roof overhang. It is the new setback is much better than the existing setback, which is 17.3, whatever, as per plan submitted.
All right, Mr. Hannah's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sibbett, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? None? Unanimous. All right. Great. Good work. One more thing under new business, and then we can talk about adjourning. You may have seen on the application, there's a, on the agenda, there is an application 2109 Three Lake Avenue Extension at Three Lake Avenue Extension and a CA 80 zone for a use variance. It would be inappropriate to discuss any of this tonight other than what's on what we've just said. But what we need to do is have a motion to refer this application to the Planning Commission and to the Zoning Commission for their review and recommendations. So I'll make a motion to refer this to the Planning Commission and to the Zoning Commission. This is our application number 21-09. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sibbett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll look
Aye.
forward to their recommendations. Right now it's scheduled to be held on June,
Excuse me.
May 13th. Yeah, on May 13th. All right, that's all the business we have, I think, I believe. I know it is. Is there
Mr. Chairman, as a point of order,
yes,
do we need to accept the minutes of the March 25th? I don't know if we did that. at the beginning of the
We
meeting?
did that.
Yeah,
We did that.
we did that in the beginning, yes, but thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Juan.
We
Any,
did that while you were sleeping.
yeah, any points of order I can use. So.
apologize. I apologize then.
That's okay. You never know. Every once in a while, I forget to have a vote on a until we get to the next meeting, and then we actually vote on the on the application. So
Yes.
thank you. Any backup is good. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
We can always
Second.
count on you, Joe. Thank you. Seconded by Mr. DeLuca. All in favor?
I'll try to save you some
Aye.
time.
Aye.
Sorry for trying to prolong the meeting longer than we have to.
Well, you know, it's like I said to Neil, it's not an exact science, is it?
Yeah.
So, all right. Hey, thanks. I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. I asked
Thanks, everybody.
Sharon the other day, any ETA when we might be meeting in person, and like, no one seemed